all started about 20 years back for Mercedes-Benz in India, and the C-Class, as I said before as well, has been one of the pillars, the strongest pillars for the brand. And in this youthful personality that Mercedes-Benz has been working on for the past 7-8 years now, they've been able to pull in a lot of younger buyers as well. And that is exactly why the average age of any C-Class buyer is now down from 40 years to 35 years of age. And that is a big shift. Mercedes-Benz has always been synonymous with luxury and opulence, and even in the C-Class, yes, it's decent to drive and all that, but it is essentially, primarily all about comfort. These seats, for example, the fronts are beautiful, they're shaped very nicely, the contours are great, cushioning is great as well, and then you also have something called seat kinetics. Now what that does is basically it gives you a little bit of a pulsation or some movements in the seat if it senses that you've been driving for a bit, and it kind of adjusts in a way that is best for you when you're driving the car. You'll just feel very slight movements every now and then. I don't know how true it is that it keeps you alert and everything, I'm sure it does. But yeah, you definitely feel it, and you automatically sense that, the car is trying to engage with you at a very intimate level, and you kind of feel that connection with it even more because of all that. Even at the rear, the seat comfort is pretty okay. Yes, you sit somewhere in the middle when it comes to the height, but if you're a tallish person and you have another tallish person right behind you, then it can be a little bit bothersome. It's not that it's going to be uncomfortable. There is going to be just about enough space for the person in the back to have a little bit more flexibility. Definitely not going to touch the back of the front seat. But when Mercedes says that it has been able to liberate more space by extending the wheelbase, the length itself is also slightly more than before. It's also wider. I expected the seat space or the interior space per se to be a little bit more than what it is right now. It has gained about 65 millimeters in overall length and 25 millimeters in the wheelbase. And sure, there must be more space. I don't deny that. But just that, you always feel like you wanted a little bit more. And that is exactly what is the situation here with me. In terms of the cabin layout, it's done in a very nice way. Nothing very outlandish, thankfully. But yes, you have this massive screen which dominates the whole personality of the cabin. And then all these vents and the way they are designed, very, very nice. But one thing that you will notice is the quality itself. Very high grade, and everything feels like it is going to last a fair amount of time. Now the variant that I am driving, it has a 1.5 litre 4-cylinder petrol engine. And yes, I know a lot of you must be frowning right now that it has only a 1.5 litre petrol engine, a C-Class. But yes, hang on a second. It has 204 bhp at its disposal and 300 Newton meter. Now all that 200 horsepower and 300 Newton meter is great, but it's still not the best part. The best part is that the C-Class now has something called ISG. Now what that is basically is an electric motor mounted between the engine and the gearbox, and that delivers something like 15 kilowatt or 20 horsepower and 200 Newton meters as a power reserve. It's just lurking and it hides somewhere in the background. But the moment you get on the gas, it fills up that lag that you kind of tend to associate with something like this, with too many gears. And that's exactly the point why you don't feel any lag in the C-Class with the engine. Yes, it is also loaded with all your regular screens and all the fancy connectivity. But in terms of outright engineering, when it comes to the drivetrain, I think this ISG is going to prove to be a massive boost. And a star item to sell the C-Class on. Now, in addition to this 2-liter petrol engine, there are two diesels as well, both 2 liters in capacity. One makes 200 bhp and the other one 265. And of course, there is ISG as well along with them. Now, coming to the other tech, it's all about in-car technology and connected car technology. It has something called car-to-X connectivity. Now, what that does is basically works with your whole navigation system and everything. And it senses where exactly are you driving, what kind of conditions, and it also is synced to the weather. So it can give you information on what the weather is going to be like sometime in the future. So if it senses that it's going to rain in some time, it's going to give you warning signs that you should probably just turn your fog lamps on or whatever have you. And it also maps the road ahead, so lets you know where are the potholes and stuff like that. All the other things are pretty much par for the course. You have all your connectivity options, wireless, of course, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto and stuff. And then you have big screens right in front of the driver and also in the center. And this one, you can change your views as well. So you have a big red sort of dial if you're driving sport. And then you can just press buttons over here, toggle through the menus and choose whatever layout of the screen you really like. And we tried the navigation that the C-Class comes with. Of course, it has all your automatic updates also happening. We are now largely dependent on Google Maps, but even if you just let the C-Class be in the regular navigation mode that comes loaded with the car, it is not too bad at all to live with. The C-Class also comes with different driving modes. You have a button over here which is named as dynamic. It lets you go from economy to comfort to sport and then your own individual mode, and you can configure everything right from your suspension to the way you want your steering to behave and stuff like that, and what kind of power levels do you want the car to deliver, whether it should be more ferocious, and in sport of course it is going to blip down and give you a little bit more excitement. But the C-Class is not really something that you should be pushing as such, and it's best if you just leave it in D, let it handle everything by itself. The best, actually, the setting that I found the best to drive this car in is the comfort mode, because this is a C-Class, it's a Mercedes-Benz, and I expect good plush ride quality out of it, and that's exactly what it delivers. Yes, the ride in sport is also not bad at all, but in comfort it just glides over almost everything, and you hardly get to feel that you went over something which was a little more than just a bump. So in that department, Mercedes has absolutely aced the configuration of the suspension. Things that I wish it had, definitely lane departure warning or lane drive assist, and ventilated seats. We don't have ventilated seats, and that I think is a massive miss on part of Mercedes-Benz. Cars much cheaper than this are now getting ventilated seats as an optional extra, and over here, nothing. But you have all the other features, and you also have a very solid safety net. And then, of course, something that is becoming extremely crucial for everyone to have in their cars, sunroof. Basically, all the blinds just go and disappear, and you have a glass roof till the back. So to sum it up, the C-Class remains that quintessential luxury product in the segment. It's beautiful when it comes to ride quality and seat comfort. The space could have been just slightly more than what it is right now, but just the ride quality itself and the way it compresses and kind of goes back on its dampers is beautiful. Interiors are very nicely made. It's got a decent design as well, very smart. And overall, the chassis is not bad. It's not going to excite you in any way, but it's not going to disappoint you in any way either. It's something that is going to meet your expectations to the absolute limit. And that is exactly what you expect from a brand like this, from a product like this. It's a Mercedes-Benz, it's a C-Class, and it absolutely shouts that brand equity and luxury.